This is Marcel Brown bringing you some technology history for October 6th and 7th. October 6th, 1942. Chester Carlson is issued a patent on a process called electrophotography, now commonly known as photocopying. It was not until 1946 that a company had any interest in pursuing photocopying commercially. The Haloid Company finally licensed Carlson's patent and created the word zeography to differentiate the process from traditional photography. Eventually, photocopying became such a large part of the company's revenue that Haloid changed their name to Xerox. October 6th, 1987. Microsoft introduces Microsoft Windows 2.0. Windows 2.0 introduces the advance of allowing individual system windows to overlap each other. And this was also the reason that Apple chose to sue Microsoft for copyright infringement on the Macintosh operating system. October 6th, 1997. During a trade conference, Michael Dell is asked for his opinion on the current situation at Apple. He was asked what he would do if he was the CEO of Apple, and he replied, "I'd shut it down and give the money back to the shareholders." This would go down as one of the most short-sighted comments by a technology executive, as less than 10 years later, Apple would surpass Dell in market value. October 7th, 1952. American inventors Norman Joseph Woodland and Bernard Silver are granted U.S. patents for classifying apparatus and method, described as article classification through the medium of identifying patterns. Of course, today we better know these identifying patterns as barcodes. Woodland and Silver eventually sold their patent for only $15,000, but were later inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame. Barcodes were first used commercially in 1966, and it rapidly developed so that eventually by 1970, there was a requirement to have some sort of industry standard set. A company called Logicon Incorporated created the Universal Grocery Products Identification Code, or UGPIC for short, in order to implement the barcode throughout the retail industry. Monarch Marking, based in the U.S., was the first company to produce barcode equipment using UGPIC for retail trade use. British company Plessey Telecommunications followed suit, creating their equipment later in the same year. The UGPIC was transformed into UPC, or Universal Product Code, which is still used in the U.S. The first piece of equipment using UPC was installed in a Marsh's supermarket in Ohio, and the first product checked out using a barcode was a packet of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit chewing gum on June 26, 1974. October 7th, 1954. IBM researchers modify an existing Model 604 vacuum tube calculator to use transistors. This experiment didn't shrink the desk-size machine nor make it any faster, but it did use only 5% of the power the vacuum tube-based design did. Encouraged by this successful experiment, IBM introduced the first commercial transistor calculator 4 years later, the Model 608. That's your technology history for this week. For more, tune in next week and visit my website, thisdayintechhistory.com.